I'm from Robstown. Now this is where I should have a picture of the city limits sign or a panorama of downtown Robstown. But Robstown is not beautiful. Some areas of Robstown are very nice, but most of it looks like the poor side of any South Texas city. But I love Robstown. It's where I grew up surrounded by family and friends. Robstown is one of those cities that you just never hear good things about. If Robstown is in the news, it's because some crime has been committed or some scandal. So when I tell people that I'm from Robstown, they look at me sideways or they make some kind of joke. That's when the sales pitch begins. The following program does not represent the views or opinions of the City of Robstown, TX Montly, or the Austin Film Festival. It is merely an attempt to make Robstown sound exciting for the 2011 Where I'm From short film contest. Furthermore, the producer of the film seems to be a little strange.
Robstown is just right! Is your hometown too big? The noise, the traffic, the crowds, and all those decisions. Should I go to a concert, the symphony, a play? What to do? Is your hometown too small? Where is everybody? Well, Robstown is just right. Robstown has a perfect population of just about 14,000, big enough to have stuff to do and small enough not to get lost. Is your hometown too cold? The ice, the sleet, and all those coats and those complicated scarves. How do you put these on? Well, Robstown is just right. As a city in South Texas, it is miserably hot. But who doesn't like the sun? And speaking of the sun, do you love the beach? But oh, the water and all that sand, it's everywhere! Well, in Robstown, you get all that terrific South Texas sun, and none of the sand or water. And if it ever does snow in Robstown, it's on Christmas Eve. It's so beautiful. The Texas Hill Country is full of mountains and valleys. East Texas is full of trees. Robstown has no hills and hardly any trees, so it's much easier to walk there. It also has great soil for planting cotton. Cotton was so important to Robstown that we called our high school football team the Cotton Pickers. Is the name of your hometown too hard to pronounce? Waxahachie. Who's a watcher? My tongue gets tangled just thinking about it. Robstown was named after its founder, Robert Driscoll. It was Robstown, so he named it Robstown. What's easier than that? Robstown is 105 years old, and it was settled by Czech farmers, but its history goes back a lot farther. Once, there were dinosaurs that lived there. Robstown is just south of the Nueces River, the same area where Mexico and the United States fought over during the Mexican-American War. So you could say that Mexico and the United States were fighting over Robstown. You could also say that Robstown was partially responsible for the westward expansion of the United States of America. Here's me before I moved to Robstown. And here's me today! Robstown is conveniently located just west of Corpus Christi. It's 400 miles to Athens, but just 40 miles to San Diego. It's a 7-hour drive to Newark and a 10-hour drive to Memphis or Atlanta. It's just 25 miles to Portland, 4 hours to Nome, and you can get to Pittsburgh, Boston, Reno, Peoria, and Dallas in about 7 hours, give or take a few. Los Angeles is only about 100 miles away. A trip to Omaha will take about 8 hours, but you can get to Houston or Austin in about 4. Miami is 12 hours away, Newport 8 hours away, Carlsbad 6.5 hours away, Albany 7 hours away, Cleveland 5 hours away. And if you want to leave Texas, and I don't know why you would want to, why there is an international airport just minutes away. Yes, you can go anywhere from Robstown. Olympic boxer Lefty Barrera was from Robstown. Gene and Marvin Upshaw, National Football League greats, were from Robstown. And speaking of football, Tony Romo, quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys. Why, his grandmother is from Robstown. Once, he even stopped in Robstown to eat lunch. And I'm not sure, but there is a possibility that Willie Nelson has probably, maybe sort of traveled in or near Robstown at some time in his life. World-famous crooner Bing Crosby, well, his wife was from Robstown. Maybe Justin Bieber might someday marry some lucky girl from Robstown. Robstown has had its share of politicians. Who knows, maybe someday someone from Robstown will become President of the United States. My fellow Robstonians! Yes, if you are from Robstown, you can go anywhere and do anything. But what is important is that if you are from Robstown, you can always come home. Robstown, it's just right!
The producers of the preceding film have no idea whether or not your hometown is too big or too small, and in fact, the size of Robstown may or might not be just right for you. It is merely a matter of preference. The producer of the film has actually never had any trouble putting on his coat or scarf, and if he did, it is not necessarily due to the climate. Some people actually believe that South Texas is not miserably hot. In particular, the producer's elderly father, who does not even really like air conditioning. Though the most recent snow in Robstown did take place on Christmas Eve 2004, and it was beautiful, there is no guarantee that it would ever happen again. Though many of the settlers in Robstown were of Czech descent, it cannot be said everyone was of Czech descent. And what does that matter anyway? People are people. All of the statements regarding the Mexican-American War are factually accurate, but also very misleading, so they should be completely disregarded. Robstown is in fact west of Corpus Christi. The proximity of Robstown to other Texas cities listed is highly questionable. In fact, you could also say that it was all very misleading. Willie Nelson has performed in Corpus Christi several times, but he probably did not go to Robstown unless he was lost, or if he had a gig down in the valley. Oh, and none of the film was actually filmed in Robstown, but rather in the producer's laundry room. However, the producer did go to junior high and high school in Robstown, and his parents still live there. He, in fact, believes that Robstown is not just right, but he still really loves his hometown.